Imagine waking up one day, realizing that everything you've been chasing, the better life, the dreams, the peace, has been slipping further away, not because circumstances were harsh, but because invisible habits have quietly built walls around your potential. These 12 hidden habits don't shout, they whisper sabotage, luring you into procrastination, the endless craving for approval, and the hypnotic scroll of distractions. They trap you in a cycle of reaction instead of action, comparison instead of self-mastery, comfort instead of growth. Stoicism teaches us that life's real mastery isn't in escaping discomfort, but in embracing it with intention, presence, and courage. This video peels back those subtle, self-imposed barriers, uncovering how surrendering to impulsive pleasures or shying away from tough decisions steals your true life away. Now is the moment to confront these silent thieves, cut through the noise, and reclaim control by focusing relentlessly on what truly matters. Through the lens of Stoic wisdom, you'll discover how to transform discomfort into fuel, inaction into deliberate movement, and surface-level living into profound, intentional existence. By the end, you won't just recognize these hidden habits, you'll feel compelled to challenge and change them, stepping finally into the life you deserve. 12 hidden habits driving you away from true life. 1. The paralysis of decision procrastination. 2. The endless need for external validation. 3. Talking more than doing, words without action. 4. Reacting impulsively to every trigger. 5. The social media trap, distraction over depth. 6. Comparing your journey to others' highlights. 7. Avoiding discomfort to escape growth. 8. Complaining instead of problem-solving. 9. Chasing fleeting pleasures, ignoring lasting fulfillment. 10. Living on autopilot, detached from awareness. 11. Overconsumption of noise, underconsumption of silence. 12. Failing to act with purpose and intention. If this is making sense to you so far, if these insights are resonating with the quiet truths you've felt but couldn't quite articulate, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Someone navigating their own hidden battles. Your support helps us bring these timeless Stoic principles to more people seeking clarity and purpose in a chaotic world. We've journeyed through the subtle ways hidden habits can derail our lives, from the paralysis of decision procrastination to the hypnotic pull of digital distractions. Now, let's delve deeper into the remaining silent thieves that relentlessly pull us away from the life of intention and peace we truly seek. These aren't just minor character flaws. They are deeply ingrained patterns that quietly, relentlessly erode our potential, our joy, and our profound connection to reality. 6. Comparing your journey to others' highlights. In an age of instant gratification and meticulously curated digital lives, this habit has become an epidemic, a silent epidemic that gnaws at our self-worth and breeds a subtle, persistent discontent. We are constantly bombarded with the highlight reels of others' lives, their successes, their perfect vacations, their enviable relationships, their seemingly effortless achievements. What we see are the polished veneers, the carefully constructed facades, not the struggles, the failures, the countless hours of invisible effort, or the profound insecurities that often lie beneath. From a Stoic perspective, this habit is a direct assault on our inner peace and a profound misunderstanding of the dichotomy of control. When we compare ourselves to others, we are fixating on what is unequivocally not within our control: their circumstances, their choices, their external outcomes, and especially their public presentation. Epictetus taught us that the primary task in life is simply this: to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. Our own efforts, our character, our responses, our judgments, these are ours to command. The accomplishments or possessions of others, however, are entirely external to our sphere of influence. What does this incessant comparison do to us? It steals our present moment, filling it with envy, inadequacy, and a gnawing sense of not enough. It distracts us from our own path, our own growth, our own unique challenges and opportunities. Instead of focusing on becoming the best version of ourselves, we exhaust ourselves trying to measure up to an idealized, often illusory, standard set by someone else. We forget that our journey is precisely that, ours. It has its own rhythm, its own lessons, its own unique landscape. To compare it to another's is like comparing a river to a mountain. Both are majestic, but their purpose and path are entirely distinct. The Stoic antidote to comparison is multifaceted. First, it requires a conscious shift of focus inward. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly urged himself to attend to his own inner state, his own integrity, his own adherence to reason and virtue. He wasn't concerned with what Caesar was doing or what external honors others received. His concern was his own soul. This isn't selfishness. It's self-mastery. It's recognizing that true contentment comes from aligning our actions with our values, not from outshining someone else. Second, it calls for gratitude for our own circumstances, however imperfect. Instead of lamenting what we lack compared to others, we can practice appreciating what we have, the progress we have made, and the unique strengths we possess. This shifts our internal dialogue from scarcity to abundance, from envy to appreciation. Third, it requires intentional action regarding our inputs. If certain social media feeds or interactions consistently trigger comparison and feelings of inadequacy, we have the power to limit or remove those inputs. This is not weakness. It is self-preservation and a wise application of the dichotomy of control. We control what we consume. Finally, remember that every individual is fighting a battle you know nothing about. The person whose life you envy might be battling profound inner demons or facing challenges that are invisible to the public eye. Comparison, then, is not just self-defeating. It's often based on incomplete information and a fundamental misunderstanding of the human condition. Reclaim your unique journey, honor your own pace, and remember that your only true competitor is the person you were yesterday. Avoiding discomfort to escape growth. This habit is perhaps the most insidious, for it presents itself as kindness, as self-care, as a rational desire for peace. Yet, in its relentless pursuit of comfort, it actively stifles our potential and prevents us from accessing the very strength and resilience that define a well-lived Stoic life. We shy away from difficult conversations, postpone challenging tasks, avoid uncomfortable truths, and opt for the path of least resistance at every turn. We choose the known, the easy, the pleasurable, over the unknown, the difficult, the transformative. The Stoics understood, perhaps better than any other philosophy, that growth, true growth, occurs at the edges of our comfort zone. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of embracing hardship, not as an unfortunate accident, but as a deliberate training ground for the soul. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, he observed. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. This profound insight reveals the circular trap of comfort-seeking. The more we avoid discomfort, the more daunting and insurmountable future challenges appear, thus perpetuating the avoidance. Think about modern life. How often do we reach for our phones at the first hint of boredom or awkwardness? How often do we procrastinate on a difficult email or a challenging project, telling ourselves we'll feel more ready later? How often do we avoid giving honest feedback or setting clear boundaries because we fear the momentary tension it might create? These are all manifestations of avoiding discomfort, and each avoidance chips away at our capacity for courage, resilience, and authentic connection. The Stoic practice is not to seek out unnecessary suffering, but to embrace necessary discomfort as an opportunity for training. When we deliberately expose ourselves to challenging situations, even small ones, we build our inner citadel. We demonstrate to ourselves that we are capable of enduring, that we possess resources we didn't know we had, and that temporary unease leads to lasting strength. This might mean waking up a little earlier, engaging in a physical activity that tests our limits, having that difficult conversation, or consciously delaying gratification. Consider the cold shower challenge, or intermittent fasting, or even simply sitting in silence without external stimulation for a few minutes each day. These are micro-exercises in embracing discomfort. They teach us that our aversion to discomfort is often more a psychological construct than a physical reality. The discomfort passes, but the strength and self-knowledge gained endure. To truly grow, we must cultivate a relationship with discomfort, where we see it not as an enemy to be vanquished, but as a wise teacher. It's in the struggle that we discover what we're made of. It's by pushing past our perceived limits that we expand those limits. When you feel that familiar urge to recoil from something challenging, pause. Ask yourself, is this discomfort leading to growth or merely maintaining the status quo? If it's leading to growth, lean into it. Trust that on the other side of that temporary unease lies a stronger, more capable, more resilient version of yourself, ready to face life with greater equanimity and courage. This is how we transform what seems like an obstacle into an opportunity. 8. Complaining instead of problem solving. This habit is a subtle drain on our energy, a quiet poison that, over time, can erode our sense of agency and our capacity for effective action. It manifests as endless lamentations about circumstances, people, or situations, often without any genuine attempt to alter them. We air grievances, indulge in victimhood, and bond with others over shared misery, all while remaining firmly ensconced in the problem rather than moving towards a solution. The Stoic perspective offers a sharp contrast to this unproductive pattern. Complaining is an externalization of dissatisfaction, often rooted in a desire for external conditions to change to suit our preferences, rather than adapting our inner state. It's a violation of the dichotomy of control. We complain about what we can't control, rather than focusing on what we can. Epictetus reminds us that it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Complaining is a reactive stance, a lamentation. Problem solving, on the other hand, is proactive, a deliberate engagement with reality. When we complain, we are essentially saying, the world should be different. When we problem solve, we are asking, given the world as it is, what can I do? This shift in perspective is monumental. Consider a common scenario: traffic. We all experience it. The habit of complaining means we might stew in anger, curse at other drivers, and vocally express our frustration, draining our energy and raising our stress levels, all while changing absolutely nothing about the traffic itself. The Stoic alternative is to recognize the traffic as an external, uncontrollable event. Then, we ask, what can I control? I can control my reaction. I can choose to listen to an audiobook, practice mindfulness, make a phone call hands-free, or simply accept the delay with equanimity. And in a broader sense, if traffic is a persistent issue, problem solving would involve exploring alternative routes, adjusting my commute time, or considering public transport. Complaining also blinds us to solutions. When our minds are preoccupied with cataloging grievances, they are less open to identifying opportunities for action. It creates a negative feedback loop. The more we complain, the more powerless we feel, and the less likely we are to take effective steps. It's an indulgence that gives a momentary, superficial release, but ultimately leaves us feeling weaker, not stronger. To break this habit, the Stoics would advise a powerful self-interrogation. Whenever you find yourself about to complain, pause and ask, 1. Is this within my control? If yes, then what specific action can I take, however small? Focus on the solution, not the problem. If no, then can I accept it with grace? Can I reframe my perspective? Does complaining serve any useful purpose? Does it move me closer to my goals? Does it improve the situation? Often, the answer is no. What is the underlying fear or desire? Am I complaining because I want sympathy? Because I fear the effort of solving the problem? Unmasking the root cause helps us address it more effectively. Seneca once wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Complaining often magnifies our imaginary suffering. Instead, let us cultivate a spirit of resilience and resourcefulness. When faced with a challenge, let us embrace the Stoic maxim, "What is up to us?" And then, with courage and clear reason, let us act. This is the path of empowerment, the path that transforms obstacles into opportunities for demonstrating our character and our capacity for intelligent action. Chasing fleeting pleasures, ignoring lasting fulfillment. This habit is deeply ingrained in our modern consumer culture, which constantly promotes the idea that happiness can be bought, consumed, or experienced externally and instantaneously. We are lured by the promise of quick fixes, instant gratifications, and endless entertainments. The new gadget, the delicious but unhealthy meal, the binge-watching session, the impulsive purchase. These deliver a momentary spike of pleasure, a fleeting distraction, but ultimately leave us feeling empty, craving the next fix, further removed from a sense of deep, abiding fulfillment. The Stoics were not ascetics who rejected all pleasure. They recognized that certain natural pleasures are part of life. However, they distinguished sharply between shallow, impulsive pleasures and those that arise as a natural byproduct of living a virtuous and purposeful life. True happiness, or eudaimonia for the Stoics, was not about feeling good all the time, but about living well with virtue, reason, and integrity. This kind of happiness is profound and enduring, built on a foundation of character and purpose, not on transient external stimuli. When we chase fleeting pleasures, we become slaves to our desires. We develop an addiction to external stimuli, constantly seeking something outside ourselves to fill an inner void. This makes us vulnerable, easily swayed by advertisements, social trends, and the ever-present allure of novelty. We surrender our autonomy, becoming reactive rather than proactive, constantly chasing the next hit of dopamine, rather than cultivating a stable, inner wellspring of contentment. Consider the classic example, the pursuit of wealth. Many chase wealth for the pleasures it can buy, luxury items, exotic trips, extravagant experiences. Yet countless examples, both ancient and modern, demonstrate that once basic needs are met, increased wealth does not correlate with increased happiness. In fact, it often brings new anxieties and a heightened sense of dissatisfaction, as the goalposts of pleasure constantly shift. The Stoics would argue that true wealth lies in inner resources, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These are treasures that cannot be lost, cannot be consumed, and provide a lasting foundation for fulfillment. To break free from this habit, we must cultivate a deeper understanding of what truly brings us lasting satisfaction. It's rarely the things we acquire, but the things we become and the experiences we create that align with our deepest values. It's the effort invested in meaningful work, the cultivation of deep relationships, the mastery of a skill, the contribution to something greater than ourselves, the quiet moments of reflection, the practice of gratitude, and the consistent pursuit of virtue. The Stoic practice involves developing a conscious awareness of our desires. When we feel the pull towards a fleeting pleasure, we can pause and ask, what is the true cost of this? What lasting benefit will it bring? Is this truly aligning with my values, or is it merely a distraction? This doesn't mean denying ourselves all enjoyment, but rather choosing our pleasures wisely, with reason and intention. It means learning to derive joy from simple, natural things, and understanding that true happiness is an inside job, a byproduct of a life well lived, not a commodity to be purchased. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that all things are ephemeral. Pleasures are certainly so. By recognizing their transient nature, we can detach from their addictive grip and refocus our energy on building a life rich in meaning, purpose, and lasting fulfillment. This deliberate shift from superficial seeking to profound living is one of the most liberating acts we can undertake. 10. Living on autopilot, detached from awareness. This habit describes a state of mind where we move through our days, weeks, and even years without truly being present. Our actions are largely habitual, our thoughts drift aimlessly, and our experiences blur into an undifferentiated stream. We go through the motions of work, relationships, and daily routines, but our attention is often elsewhere, lost in worries about the future, regrets about the past, or caught in a loop of unproductive internal monologue. We are physically present, but mentally absent. From a Stoic perspective, living on autopilot is a profound disservice to our rational faculty, our most distinctive human attribute. It prevents us from applying reason and intention to our lives, which are the cornerstones of Stoic practice. The Stoics emphasized prosoche, a constant, vigilant attention to our impressions and judgments. It is the practice of being fully awake, fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment, so that we can ensure they align with virtue and reason. When we live on autopilot, we miss the richness of life unfolding around us. We miss the subtle beauty of a sunrise, the nuances of a conversation, the sensations of our own bodies, the opportunities for learning, and the quiet promptings of our inner wisdom. Our lives become a series of reactions to external stimuli, rather than a deliberate construction of meaningful experiences. We become passive recipients of life, rather than active participants. Consider how often we eat a meal while scrolling on our phones, or drive a familiar route without registering anything along the way, or listen to a loved one speak while planning our response rather than truly hearing their words. These are all instances of autopilot living, where our attention is fragmented and our engagement with reality is superficial. This detachment robs us of valuable moments, degrades the quality of our experiences, and prevents us from making intentional choices. The Stoic remedy for living on autopilot is the relentless cultivation of mindfulness and presence. It means bringing our full attention to whatever we are doing, however mundane. Washing dishes becomes an exercise in feeling the warm water and the smooth soap. Walking becomes an opportunity to feel our feet on the ground and observe our surroundings. Listening becomes an act of complete engagement with another person's words and emotions. This practice is not about achieving some transcendental state. It is about grounding ourselves in the here and now, which is the only place where life truly happens. It means constantly checking in with ourselves. What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Is this thought serving me? Am I truly present in this moment, or am I lost in distraction? Marcus Aurelius famously exhorted himself to dwell on the present. He understood that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and only the present moment offers us the opportunity to act virtuously, to learn, to connect, and to experience life fully. By deliberately breaking free from habitual thought patterns and automatic behaviors, we reclaim our agency. We become the conscious architects of our experience, rather than merely passive passengers. The invitation here is to bring a quality of attentive awareness to every single action, thought, and sensation. Even for a few minutes each day, deliberately practice being fully present, whether it's during a simple task, a conversation, or a moment of stillness. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing everything with more awareness. Through this consistent practice, we transform our days from a blurry stream of unconscious habits into a vibrant tapestry of intentional living, one moment of presence at a time. 11. Overconsumption of noise, underconsumption of silence. In our hyper-connected, always-on world, this habit is almost unavoidable, yet its impact is profoundly detrimental to our inner life and mental clarity. We constantly fill our auditory and mental space with external stimulation, endless notifications, background television, podcasts, music, news cycles, social media chatter, and the relentless stream of information. Silence, when it does occur, often feels uncomfortable, a void that we instinctively rush to fill. The Stoics, living in a far less noisy world, nonetheless understood the critical importance of cultivating inner quiet. They recognized that constant external noise prevents us from hearing our own internal voice, the voice of reason, and from engaging in the deep reflection necessary for wisdom and self-mastery. Seneca, for example, often sought solitude and quietude to engage in philosophical contemplation and to maintain his mental discipline. When we constantly consume noise, we fragment our attention. Our minds become overstimulated, making it difficult to focus, to think deeply, or to sustain concentration. We become reactive to every ping and buzz, our attention hijacked by external demands rather than guided by our own intentions. This constant bombardment of information, much of it trivial or negative, also contributes to anxiety, mental fatigue, and a diminished capacity for creative thought. Consider a typical day. Alarm goes off, maybe a news podcast, then the car radio, then office chatter or music, then constant email Slack notifications, then social media scrolling, TV in the evening, maybe another podcast before bed. When do we truly have moments of uninterrupted silence, where our minds can rest, integrate, and process. For many, the answer is rarely, if ever. This continuous input prevents us from cultivating our inner citadel, the mental fortress where we can retreat to find peace and clarity. The Stoic antidote is not to retreat to a monastery, but to deliberately and consistently integrate moments of silence and stillness into our lives. This is an act of reclaiming our mental space, our sovereignty over our own attention. It's about recognizing that true strength comes not from being constantly busy, but from having a clear, calm mind. This might look like scheduled silence, dedicating a few minutes each day to simply sit in silence, without any external input. No phone, no music, no TV, no book. Just being. Mindful transitions. Instead of immediately turning on the radio in the car or checking your phone when you wake up, allow for a few minutes of quiet transition. Digital detox. Regularly unplugging from devices for a set period, an hour, an evening, a day, is spending time in nature where the sounds are natural and conducive to contemplation rather than distraction. In these moments of silence, we allow our minds to settle. We create space for self-reflection, for processing emotions, for gaining perspective, and for hearing the quiet whisper of our own intuition and reason. It's in the quiet that we can truly hear ourselves, evaluate our progress, and realign with our core values. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, found time for reflection, often writing his meditations in the stillness of his tent during military campaigns. He understood that leadership, and indeed a well-lived life, requires a clear, uncluttered mind, cultivated in moments of deliberate quiet. Embrace silence not as an empty void to be filled, but as a rich, fertile ground for cultivating inner peace, clarity, and profound self-awareness. It is one of the most powerful and accessible tools we have for reclaiming our minds from the relentless demands of the external world. Failing to act with purpose and intention. This final hidden habit is perhaps the most encompassing, the culmination of many of the others, and the ultimate barrier to living a truly Stoic life. It's the habit of drifting through existence, reacting to circumstances, following external cues, and making choices without a clear, conscious understanding of why we are doing what we are doing, or how it aligns with our deepest values and overarching goals. It's living without a personal philosophy, without a compass, allowing the currents of life to carry us wherever they may. For the Stoics, purpose and intention were paramount. Life was not to be idled away. It was a precious opportunity to cultivate virtue, to apply reason, and to contribute to the common good. Every action, ideally, was to be undertaken with a clear understanding of its moral implications and its alignment with one's chosen path. This is what it means to live in accordance with nature, to live rationally, purposefully. When we fail to act with purpose and intention, our lives become a series of disconnected events. We might be busy, but are we being effective? We might be doing things, but are we doing the right things? Without purpose, our efforts lack direction, our decisions lack coherence, and our achievements, even when they occur, often feel hollow. We become easily swayed by distractions, by the whims of others, and by the fleeting dictates of pleasure, because there is no strong internal framework to guide our choices. Consider the person who spends years climbing the corporate ladder, only to realize, upon reaching the top, that the success they achieved doesn't align with their true desires or values. Or the individual who constantly says yes to every request, every social invitation, every new project. without ever asking if it truly serves their own well-being or contributes to their meaningful goals. These are examples of lives lived without sufficient purpose and intention, leaving a lingering sense of unfulfillment and regret. The Stoic remedy for this is profound and transformative. It requires us to consciously define our values, articulate our purpose, and then rigorously align our actions with them. This is not a one-time exercise, but a continuous practice of self-awareness and self-correction. It involves clarifying values. What truly matters to you? What kind of person do you want to be? What principles guide your life? For the Stoics, these were the cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Defining purpose. What is your overarching mission, your reason for being? This doesn't have to be grand. It can be about being a good parent, a diligent craftsperson, a compassionate friend, or a contributor to your community. Above all, intentional action. Before embarking on any significant action, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Does this align with my values and purpose? Marcus Aurelius continually urged himself to act with clear purpose, to serve humanity, and to maintain his inner integrity, regardless of external circumstances. He saw every moment as an opportunity to practice virtue, to live out his philosophy, not just to muse upon it. Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, he wrote, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. This is the essence of intentional living. This habit, or lack thereof, is the ultimate test of our Stoic journey. It demands that we move beyond mere intellectual understanding and into embodied practice. It's about choosing to be the sculptor of our lives rather than merely the clay. When we act with purpose and intention, every choice becomes an affirmation of our values. Every challenge an opportunity to demonstrate our character, and every moment a step closer to the profound, intentional existence that Stoicism promises. This is how we take back control, not of external events, but of our inner world, our responses, and the very direction of our lives. We've now peeled back the layers on these 12 hidden habits, the silent thieves that whisper sabotage, luring us away from true life. We've seen how they trap us in cycles of reaction, comparison, comfort, and distraction. But more importantly, we've explored, through the unwavering lens of Stoic wisdom, how to confront them, how to cut through the noise, and how to reclaim control by focusing relentlessly on what truly matters. Our character, our choices, our intention, and our purpose. Seneca once wrote, "This moment, as you finish watching, is an end to passive consumption and an invitation to a new beginning. A beginning of conscious awareness and deliberate action. The path to a life of profound intention isn't found in escaping discomfort, but in embracing it with intention, presence, and courage. It isn't about eliminating challenges, but about transforming them into fuel for your growth. It isn't about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them with humility and resolve." So, as you step away from this video, I want to leave you with a profound question, one that the Stoics themselves wrestled with daily. What will you choose to surrender to today? The subtle sabotage of hidden habits, or the sovereign power of your own intention? The choice, as always, is yours. Your true life awaits your deliberate action. If this exploration has resonated with you, if it has sparked a desire to challenge these habits and live with greater purpose, Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel for more Stoic insights, and I invite you to share your reflections in the comments below. Which of these hidden habits resonates most strongly with you? And what single intentional action will you commit to taking today to begin reclaiming your control? Your insights not only enrich our community, but also deepen your own commitment. Thank you for being here and for embarking on this journey of self-mastery.